This episode of I Am Salt Lake podcast is proudly sponsored by Jeds Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jeds Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday 12 to 5. Their newest 3rd location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. Head on over to jedsbarbershop.com for more information.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people, making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome you out today to episode 285 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield.
And I'm Chrissy Hollifield.
Today on the podcast, we sit down and chat with Trina Perez, owner of the Buzzed Coffee Truck. Buzzed Coffee has made quite the impression on the locals here in Salt Lake City in the short time that they've been up and running. We're going to get to find out Trina's story and why she wanted to open up the coffee truck and obstacles that she's faced along the way.
She's really a big go-getter. I'm amazed with how much she's been able to do in such a short amount of time for business time, you know?
After chatting with her, I was like, I got to get out and do something.
She
made you motivated
feel like
me.
She's very, oh my gosh, yeah. Like I could do anything now. This is great.
Before we get into the conversation, I want to tell you about our private Facebook group that we have on Facebook. What's really cool is we get to talk a lot about the podcast, who we're bringing on the podcast, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on in our world.
Yeah, and on top of that, we get to talk just about rad stuff in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we want to make it more, because obviously life isn't all about this podcast. We realize that. So we want to share what's going on. And
we want you guys to share what you're doing in Salt Lake with us.
It's kind of a great way to connect with the other listeners of I Am Salt Lake. If you want to check it out, head on over to iamsaltlake.com/group. It's going to forward you to the Facebook group, and then that's where you can request to join and come and check out some of the fun we're having on over there. Hey, do you have an event this summer that you might need pictures of? Do you have a wedding coming up that you might need pictures for? Maybe you need headshots. We want to tell you about local Salt Lake City photographer Amanda DeWolf. She's actually the one who took pictures at our wedding back in May, and I know that I seriously couldn't be happier.
Oh, they're so amazing. She made us look really good. And it's hard to make me look good. I'm not photogenic.
I could not recommend her enough.
Yeah.
Head on over to her website, amandakmemories.com. This is where you can get in touch with her. You can see some of her photographs, find out more about her. Again, the website is amandakmemories.com. This past week, July 4th.
Yeah, it was a busy week.
What a week it's been. I always get excited because it's like, okay, I have a day off from work, and not just hang out and do nothing. Well, Sugar House asked me again to be the MC for the main stage at the Sugar House Arts Festival, which last year I did it. It was a lot of fun, except it was really hot.
Yeah, it's kind of like you actually didn't have a day off of work.
So I was skeptical, and I was a little uncertain. Should I do it again this year? It makes it a long day. It's the entire day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be hot when they asked me back in like June. And as it slowly creeped up, I saw that the highs were going to get into the hundreds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be outside again all day on July 4th.
And I felt bad because I stayed home.
But it was too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. It was a little different this year because they weren't allowed to have the arts festival along the main road there in Sugar House.
Yeah,
because I guess some of the businesses there complained, and so, but it was still a lot of fun. It was great. Some of the bands that played. It was great to see Christian Coleman. Great to see Brian Bingham. They played, well, not together, but they played different. And then there was, what is it, Flint and Steel?
Yeah.
They're a local high school bluegrass
teenagers
group.
They were so good.
It was a fun day. So a big shout out to the Sugar House Chamber of Commerce and for the people that put that on and asked me to be part of it. And I know there's a few pictures and videos floating around on social media out there. But hey, this episode is also sponsored by Oleo Skin and Beard. If you're like us, your skin is dry, and if you're like me, you got a dry beard. You need to moisturize. You need to shape that beard. You need to put some oil in that beard. Oleo Skin and Beard, they carry an amazing line of skin oils, beard butters for moisturizing and shaping the beard, even some great facial cleansers.
Yeah, and I mean, I love all their face stuff. I'm really getting into their soaps. I know I've talked about this a lot, and I'm not even into custom soaps, but I feel like I can't even use other soap anymore.
Well, these are cool soaps. Plus, they're here local, made here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, and they're not expensive.
Yeah, I mean, go pick up a couple bars. They're at the downtown farmers market. But they have a website, oleoskin.com, where we actually set up a promo code for the listeners of the podcast. Enter in I Am Salt Lake at checkout. This is going to give you 25% off of your entire purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for listening to the podcast. Again, that's oleoskin.com, and use that promo code I Am Salt Lake. All right, let's jump into that conversation that we had with Trina Perez as she came over to our office to share her story about the buzzed coffee truck. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. So you brought some glasses in with some coffee beans. Is there anything special about these coffee beans, or are they just regular?
They're just chocolate-covered espresso beans. Nice little treat.
Yeah.
Which is like delicious.
They are so good. And we, just put them on the tops of our cups as a nice little extra treat.
And you sell these glasses at the Buzzed Coffee Truck? Or?
We just got those glasses in today. So we're going to start selling them as a way to try to get people to be a little more sustainable and not use so much plastic. So they're 16-ounce glasses, and people can purchase them. And when they bring them back, we'll only charge them for the 12-ounce price. So a little bit of a continued discount.
And they're cool looking.
They're really cool looking.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I like you got the little bee in there. Too, you got to represent.
I know your logo is adorable.
Oh, thanks. I love yours too.
Yeah.
Ours is more like intense bee.
Mine's a little cartoon.
It's so
cartoony.
cute.
So I like to even kind of go back a little bit and find out where's home, like where you grew up. Did you always live here in Utah, or did you transplant, or what's your story there?
I am Utah born and bred. I grew up in kind of a rougher neighborhood in West Valley for a good portion of my life till I was 12, and then moved to Riverton, which was a complete...
That's a vast difference.
Yeah,
complete culture shock.
You were living in style and luxury.
Brain at 12 years old, because I was in a very diverse neighborhood, and then I went to Riverton, which was complete opposites.
It's just very, in not a negative way, but it's a little bit more Stepford-like.
Oh, yes, very much so. And so as soon as I graduated, I moved back to Salt Lake City proper and have not...
Graduated high school?
Graduated high school. Yeah, I went to school at the U, and since then have not lived south of 3300 South.
And what did you go to the U for?
Special education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's a totally different direction.
And now you're here with a coffee truck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Buzzed Coffee Truck, that's the name. How did that come about? Is there a big story to that, or a little story?
A couple of things. I mean, so I did teach special ed for 9 years and loved it, but became completely burnt out and didn't ever see the flame reigniting. And I never wanted to be that old crotchety teacher that didn't want to be there. I think kids deserve a teacher that wants to be there.
Yeah.
And so it came from some unhappiness in my career, as well as a need in my community that I identified and really wanted. I live in Rose Park currently and have for 5 years, and there's nowhere around to get a decent cup of coffee. There's not.
Except like a 7-Eleven or
Maverick.
That's not good coffee?
If you need a cup of coffee.
You need it. If you need it. And I was working in the community as well, and so didn't have like an opportunity to get a decent cup on the way to work because I worked 10 minutes away a 10-minute walk, a 2-minute drive.
Oh, so you'd have to go out of your way to get a good cup of coffee and then come back. That's a hassle.
So, and really the West Side is kind of like a coffee desert. The only West Side coffee shop, brick and mortar, that I'm aware of is Mestizo, which is it's a great coffee shop if you've never been there.
Remind me, whereabouts are they? Mestizo. Yeah, right over the bridge.
Yep.
Yeah, we went there that one time for the podcast meetup.
Yep. I remember that. And that's a cute place.
It's great.
But yeah, it is a little bit out of the way. Like, it's great if you live over in that area. Yeah.
And it was out of the way for me even where I was living in Rose Park. So a lot of my neighbors, a lot of the community members have been kind of crying out for a coffee shop. And I think it's probably, 30% of people's dream to own a coffee shop. I've learned like everyone's like, I want to own a coffee shop. And it's great. And that's my ultimate goal, is to get a brick and mortar in my community.
So long term, you would like to, and that was one of the questions, but since you brought that up.
You know what? And Rose Park is definitely an up and coming area like that. It's great that you're kind of establishing there initially. Yeah. I didn't realize it was up and coming.
That's where everyone wants to move to, because everybody lives already on the east side. So nobody wants to sell their houses on the east side.
That's true.
It is. I've lived a lot of places in Salt Lake, and it has been my absolute favorite. I mean, it's the proximity to downtown. It's super close. A great bike ride, flat, not a lot of hills to get up. And great people. Like, it's just tree-lined streets. I love it.
So when this was originally your idea, was the plan to open a brick and mortar and then the coffee, and then like the coffee truck? I mean, you're kind of like a food truck. I mean, yeah. Is that really kind of what you're categorized as a food truck, even though it's just coffee?
Yep.
They have cinnamon rolls, which I really want to try because they look so
I should have
good.
brought you one.
Do you make the cinnamon rolls?
I'll get one.
Don't. Stone Ground. We get our cinnamon rolls from Stone Ground Bakery. Okay. So we work with a few different local bakeries and bakers. Big O Donuts are fantastic. We love working with them.
They're good people too. Right down there on Broadway.
Yeah, they're so great. They're great to work with. Stone Ground is great, and we've partnered with Argentina's Best Empanadas as well. If you've never had them.
I believe that I actually had that at a food thing. Those were good.
So yummy.
Yeah.
I wanted a brick and mortar, but it was quickly.
Is it a lot costly. More expensive, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did not even have the capital for that. Not even close. So I started to think, I'm like, I've never really seen a coffee truck. Food trucks are everywhere. The food truck culture in Salt Lake City is alive and well. And so I started to kind of research that and talk to some other. I couldn't find any coffee trucks in Salt Lake or Utah. So I started calling people around the country and talking with them. And
now, how were you connecting with these people?
I found them on social media is great.
Yeah.
I found them on Instagram. And there's a guy in New Mexico who was so helpful. He has the Green Joe coffee truck. It's like a cute little trailer. It's bright green. And he just opened his shop. So that's like so inspiring and hoping to get there. But I would call him and email him, and he just, here's what I did. Here's what I would do. Do this, don't do that. Totally free of charge. Like, he spent so much time.
That's so cool.
Mentoring me. And it was really helpful.
So you were building these friendships as you were learning how to create a coffee. Now, were you doing this by yourself? I mean, do you have a partner, or
it's just me?
Yeah.
But I've had like super supportive family and husband and friends, and just really, really great people that have donated a ton of time to help this little dream happen.
That's so cool.
How long ago did this all happen? Just to kind of get a time frame, because you're pretty new to the community and to the food scene, to the coffee scene.
Mm-hmm. So we're coming up, almost been open a year. July 19th will be our 1-year anniversary.
Okay.
And prior to that, so I would say I started working on this August, September of 2015.
Okay.
So it was about a year,
A good year of research.
funding, researching, building the truck. And then here we are, almost at a year.
Wow.
And now, where did you get the truck? Like, were you just looking in the classifieds for a truck?
KSL.com.
And then did you have like an idea of how big of a truck you needed, or?
Yeah, I was looking for just a box truck. So I bought an old FedEx truck. It was from a FedEx fleet. The guy was selling his fleet, and it's a FedEx truck that we
renovated,
converted to
That's
a coffee
so great.
truck.
This is going to be a silly question, but do you drive the truck and everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you just
Good for you. 'cause
And it's a manual.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't even know if I mean, I've driven like a U-Haul truck, and those are big and scary because
I don't like driving those.
There's so many blind spots, and then some of the places that you have to pull into to park.
In fact, the farmer's market spot is a tricky one each day or each week to get into, but I'm getting better. It was a learning process, but it actually wasn't as scary and big and hard as I thought it was going to be. In fact, after the truck was built, because I'm embarrassed to say this, but I didn't drive it until after it was built, and I think there was a week.
There's nothing
straight.
embarrassing about
Hey, that's
that.
fair.
There was a
Yeah.
week straight, like, getting close to opening up, where I was having these nightmares that I wasn't going to be able to drive the truck.
Oh man.
But I did it. Here we are. And
Hey.
it's fun. I never thought I could be so happy at 6 a.m. driving an old FedEx truck,
So here you are. You drive the truck. I mean, are you the only one making coffee then in your or do you have an employee? Then?
I do. I have 2 employees.
Now, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, gosh, how would you do
That'd
it
be
all?
tough. Yeah.
You can't even use.
I mean,
the
and how did
bathroom.
were you really proficient in, like, were you a barista ever, or did you have to teach yourself everything?
No, I'm pretty much self-taught. I went to Boulder, Colorado for a week and did this week-long course from the Specialty Coffee Association at a really cool shop called Ozo Coffee Roasters. If you're ever in Boulder, they do great stuff. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth.
So you're just like, I want good coffee. I'm going to learn how to make good coffee and just make a place where people can get it.
I'm going to do it. A lot of people,
So amazing.
when I met with a lot of local roasters when I was trying to decide where to get the coffee. There's a healthy roasting community in Salt Lake City. It's pretty much all male dominated, which is fine. But I learned that coffee is a pretty male dominated industry as well.
Interesting.
And my meetings with roasters were very interesting. And there was a spectrum of experiences, from really good, encouraging experiences to experiences that I found pretty patronizing. And I met with one, I'm not going to name any names, but the gentleman that I met with, I mean, I'm coming to him as a potential customer, and he completely discouraged me from doing it.
Really? It's really hard. You might not be able to do it.
A lot of people have wanted to do this and tried it and feeling like it's really hard to make money in coffee, and that's fine. But
But did stuff like that kind of drive you? You're like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. That was even how
Spite is powerful.
when this podcast started. A lot of people were the same way. You were like, oh, it's too small of an audience of Salt Lake. And like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. People want to listen. See, so that's what you did with the coffee truck.
Yeah, it was, and it's still motivating. Like, I still have that meeting, and it's like, hey, I'm almost at a year, and we're growing, and things are good, and I'm doing it.
And you're not buying from him.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. It's a wild ride, but
That is so great. You really focus on using exclusively Fairtrade coffee, because I was reading on your website how you really want to kind of educate people and have responsible consumers of coffee. And can you tell us a little bit more about that, or why you chose to focus on that?
there's not a place in the U.S. where we can get coffee with the exception of Hawaii because of where it grows. So a lot of the climate, or a lot of the places where coffee grows tend to be third world countries, and farmers may not get paid very well, or they're trying to make a living. And, you know, for the sustainability of coffee and for the future of coffee, we have to make sure that farmers are being paid well, or else they're going to go into other crops. And that, number one, I can't imagine a world without coffee.
Holy cow.
It'd be a sad, sad, scary world full of angry people.
We would revolt so fast.
And, you know, I'm not really into slave labor.
Well, who is, right?
Who is?
It would be a little weird if you
there
were.
are some people that are, but I mean,
Mostly dictators.
People love profits over all else, you know? So that was just important to me, making sure that people are kind of conscious about where their coffee's coming from. People are getting paid a fair wage, and
sure,
that's really cool. I think that's nice that you're very conscious of all of that, because it really does. It will keep the industry going and give everyone better quality too.
I hope so.
You also use, like, you're the first place in Utah to use nitro cold brew out of a thing called Joe Tap. These are all new words to me. So, but it sounds cool. Like, you kind of specialize in cold brew coffee.
So I'm not I know we're the only truck serving nitro. I'm not sure if any shop uses
what is
Joe
it?
Tap.
I just get coffee.
It's
yeah, I know. It sounds fancy.
I don't think about it, right?
My goodness, you got to try it. If you're
well, I'm going to be at the farmer's market on Saturday.
That's what these cups are for, right?
Yeah, because it pours just like a Guinness. I mean, that's why I kind of went with the beer.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's a beer cup.
Glass. We have customers call it breakfast Guinness, and you know, beer drinkers are like, this kind of tastes like a stout. It's so what the nitro does, and it's similar to, you know, if you've ever had a beer on nitro tap.
Okay.
It just brings, so it's the same recipe as our regular cold brew, and it's crazy to taste them side by side because the nitro does change the flavor profile. It brings out the natural sweetness a little bit. It's not super sweet, just a little bit, and makes it creamy. So a lot of people that typically add cream to their coffee taste it, and they're like, this doesn't need
just
anything.
Good on its own.
It's so smooth. It's
man.
really good. Yeah.
And you're at the farmer's market. Like, if we go on Saturday, we can get a refill.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm going to do it.
You can be the first.
Actually, I want to ask a question before we get too far, because you kind of have already answered one of these questions. So we have an I Am Salt Lake community Facebook page where listeners and whatnot from the podcast. And I mentioned that I'd be sitting down and chatting with you. Mm-hmm. And, well, first of all, do you know Jennifer and Derek from Oleo? You might not know them. I guess they lived off your coffee truck last Saturday. Anyway, They mentioned that. Nicole Davison mentions, it's kind of a few questions. She asked, has the level of misogyny she's experienced running her own business been greater or what she expected? And then another is, has anyone tried to sabotage her truck? And what does she do to make her coffee stand out in a city dripping with coffee places?
No pun intended.
So,
or pun completely intended.
So I guess that's kind of like three questions that Nicole asked. I guess the first one you were kind of already answering, you know, the level of misogyny that you've experienced running your own business. It's been greater than you've expected.
I'm not sure I can honestly say that I came into it with an expectation of misogyny. But I would say that experience with one of the roasters I met with stood out the most. You know, sometimes there have been gigs that I've done, and it comes back to driving the truck, right? I'm a female driving a big truck, which we can do.
People still can't wrap their brain around.
We can do that. Yeah. And it never fails. Like, if I'm at an event where I have to kind of maneuver around, there was one that was really funny. I swear there were at least 10 dudes that came out, and it was all I had to do was pull out straight and like back. I've maneuvered the truck around much tougher situations, and 10 dudes came out and they're all trying to guide me.
Oh,
I just laughed.
And you didn't even ask for it. They were just like, oh, there's a lady driving. There's a woman in there.
Oh my gosh.
But
I guess they were trying to be helpful.
They were.
And she asked, has anyone tried to sabotage your truck? I mean, I don't know what she's really asking there. I mean, sabotage it. I don't know.
Yeah. That, like, maybe if a competitor has tried to rip off something blatantly, or I don't know.
Knock on wood.
Not yet.
No, not yet. And I hope not. I mean, I try to treat everyone nicely and not make any enemies, and hopefully.
Is everybody pretty cool? Like, I mean, with the local food truck scene with you? Because, I mean, that's who you're hanging out with, right?
The food truckers are so supportive of each other. And even, when I started, I was kind of the first coffee truck operating like a food truck. There's a mobile coffee shop called Cafe Mugshot that's been around for a while.
Oh, yeah, those guys are
great guys. They're awesome. They're out there doing the daily grind. They do
here and there,
farmers markets, events, super nice, introduce themselves right away. And since I opened, there have been a few others open, and everyone's really cool. I mean, I've met with the owner of Dose. She's great. It's tough work, and it's good to have a support system of people who are doing it and have, experienced and gone through all of the little hiccups.
Yeah.
So no sabotage.
No
hopefully never.
No, I know, not yet. Yeah. Hopefully no one's getting any ideas.
And then
I know.
Then the last question is, what does she do to make her coffee stand out in a city dripping with coffee places? I think even talking about some of the conversation in the beginning, probably, in my opinion, sounds like that's kind of what you're doing, unless you have anything to add on to that.
I just try to make it delicious. I mean, I think we use Rimini Coffee. They're a local roaster. Awesome guys, have been around for quite a while. They're amazing. They make good product. So when you start with a good product, I think it's easy to make a pretty good cup of coffee. We house make our vanilla syrup with real vanilla beans. So I think that kind of is a difference. We try not to cut corners, and we use quality ingredients. And I think the big thing for us is customer service.
Sure.
I want customers to have a good experience at the truck and want to come back. And there's kind of, I don't know, I feel like there's this kind of asshole barista culture, forgive my language, but I don't know if you've been to some shops and
a little bit snooty.
Yeah. I feel like you're kind of an inconvenience, or
it's like, I just came here for a cup of coffee, you guys.
I definitely have felt that before. Like, you feel awkward going in because for some reason it feels like you don't belong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Order judgment, that's a big thing where so many people have come to the truck and be like, oh, a little room for cream, don't judge. And I'm like, it's your coffee, you're drinking it. I'm not going to give you any judgment for how you want it, And I realized, when people started saying, oh yeah, you do get some judgment sometimes when you order your coffee, if you're ordering a super sweet drink or room for cream, and it's I don't know what that's about. We're not the one, the people ordering are the ones drinking it.
And they're going to keep coming back because they're like, well, she doesn't make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, because not everybody.
Room for my cream.
Yeah, not everybody's a coffee connoisseur. Some people just want their damn coffee the way they want their coffee.
Sure.
But I can see how people who are around coffee all the time would become more connoisseurs, ish.
Yeah.
And then be like, well, why do you keep doing this when these other options are available? Maybe in their mind, it's more, they feel like people aren't expanding their mind, but not everybody needs to. Some people just need to be happy when they get their cup of coffee.
I agree.
We need to actually take a quick break to play a message from our sponsor. So let's play that real fast and we'll be right back. So hang tight. This episode of I Am Salt Lake Podcast is proudly sponsored by Jeds Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jeds Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday 12 to 5. Their newest 3rd location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. Head on over to jedsbarbershop.com for more information. So I wanted to talk to you about social media, because you're very active on social media. Mm-hmm. Do you do all that yourself too?
Yep.
Do you think,
do you sleep?
do you think social media has played in the growth of your business at all?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we rely on heavily for people to find us, not having a set location and set hours. I really don't know how else we'd get the word out of where we're going to be, when we're going to be there. So yeah, I rely heavily on social media.
Well, it's aggravating to me. Like, it's been a while since I've done it, but especially when Twitter was really, really popular, I would send a tweet to a food truck and I'd be like, hey, where are you guys going to be at tonight? No response. They haven't updated for 6 months.
Yeah, it's really tough to track down a truck.
Why are you even here if you're not going to even pay attention to your customers? Mm-hmm. Now, are you on the food? There's a food truck app. Mm-hmm. Are you on the app?
I've been slacking on that. I need to get my stuff together and get on that because it's pretty great.
It is a cool app. Yeah, the Food Truck League app, which I know you're not on there, but let me recommend everybody to download it because that has been a really cool resource.
Yeah,
it's great.
And I do like how you're so accessible online, because you do say if you want to find out where we are, like you give people multiple options to contact you to find out where you are at any given time, which I don't see a lot of food trucks doing. So it's really handy.
Do you have like a set places, or are you just kind of all over? Because you. I mean, how many hours a week are you doing this?
Like all of the stuff, or just open?
I don't know. I mean, like you're pretty much operating every day, right?
When can people come get coffee?
Yep, we operate Monday through 7 days a week. Every 2 weeks, every other Monday, I usually take off unless we have an event. But yeah, we're grinding every day.
And it's mostly morning time that you're out and about?
Mostly morning. And that's kind of my goal for this next year, is to expand daily operations and find some good afternoon spots, because there are afternoon coffee drinkers, and that's something that I haven't really been the best at finding yet.
There's nighttime coffee
office buildings
too.
Oh yeah. Office buildings might be I know, like, I think if the areas where there's a lot of the quote unquote silicone slopes areas.
What about down where you work? During
that's
the
what
day?
I was thinking. I work in the big office complexes down in Draper, Bluffdale area, and I know so many guys there. They're programmers, and they drink coffee like crazy. I mean, they're getting up every hour to get another cup of coffee, and there's nowhere to go in that area. So we have to make it in the office.
Well, you should talk to her.
So, hey,
let's chat.
It's great afternoon spots.
Yeah, that's my goal. I need to get some afternoon spots. But so we're in Rose Park 3 days a week. Was 4 before the market started.
Is it like a set location?
Yeah.
Where is that at?
On right off 1000 North, 10th North, and 960 West. There's a reception center called Centro Unico, and I'm like sandwiched in between 2 really great Mexican restaurants. There's El Cabrito to the south of where I park, and then Tacos Daniel. So, and they're both incredible if you are ever looking for some Mexican food. But yeah, so we just post up there. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays. When the farmers market ends, we'll probably go back to Saturdays there. And then the other days, we go to Gateway.
Just depends on different schedule,
parks, out by the airport where there's a lot of people at work, but no access to coffee.
Yeah.
So
what advice would you give someone who wanted to, I don't know, get into business for themselves? I guess let's leave it in a
more
bigger,
general.
Yeah, general. I guess, or a food truck, or what advice would you give somebody?
The best advice that I've gotten and stuck with me that I could give was don't give up.
Have you felt like you wanted to give up?
I mean, business owning is a roller coaster, and I think especially in your first couple of years, it's a lot of work. You have to be expecting a lot of work, and I would say 90% of the time I am super happy and don't regret a thing, don't regret the decision. But, there are some days, a really crappy day where it was, I don't know, crappy weather or something went wrong on the truck and you have to close. I mean, it's like, why? Why did I do this? I really miss my steady paycheck,
what do you do to keep going then? Like, do you have something that you do to keep going? I mean, or do you just say it's a bad day? I don't know.
Yeah, cry to my husband, and then he tells me to get back on the horse and just go at it. No, yeah, I kind of allow a space for myself to feel the feelings that I'm feeling, and then not wallow in it too long. I think that's important. And then start focusing on the positives again. Also, someone told me, there was a great business student who worked with us in the first month we were open. And she was working with a lot of different businesses around Salt Lake. She's getting her master's. It was awesome advice to have that so early on.
Yeah.
And she said, because people would come to the truck and thank me for being there. Like, thank you for being here. And it's like, no, I should be thanking you for patronizing my business and spending your money here, And she's like, you need to write down all of these great things that people are saying to you. And I did. I wrote down, the positive things that I've heard. And sometimes I reflect on that too. Like,
that's a good idea. I think for everybody, to just write down the good stuff. So then when you have the bad days, you can turn to that.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need that little bit but this one person, I really made their day.
When you get upset with me, Chrissy, you can take a look at this and say, well, Chris is all right.
Also good relationship advice.
It could be. Dang.
What do you like? Like, what do you like the most? I know it's a broad question, but with doing all of this, is there one thing that you like?
Having an espresso machine at my pick and call
like a real one,
pretty awesome. But no, in all seriousness, the people that I've met, like especially in my neighborhood and my community, it's been awesome. That's for sure my favorite part. People are great for the most part.
Has your coffee intake gone up? I'm sure it has. I mean,
yeah.
You're just like another cup.
A ton. I recently, have struggle is real, and I'm down to 1 shot a day because I'm expecting.
Okay.
So that
always gets in the way of some good coffee drinking,
Oh my gosh, it's been hard. Yeah.
Congratulations too.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. So we'll see how that
goes. Your first kid?
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, has that been hard to work pregnant? Run your own business, especially?
So I'm just through my first trimester, and there were some days where it was really rough.
Did you get morning sickness?
Well, yeah, I would get nauseous. Not super bad. I mean, I just learned I had to eat something. But what was really hard is just how exhausted I was by the time I was done, like driving home after cleaning the truck and getting it ready for the next day. I swear there were times in my car where I'm like, slapping myself, trying to stay awake, just exhausted.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm feeling better. Better, getting more energy back. I'm in the honeymoon stage, they say.
Well, that's motivational. I mean, for people to say, hey, if you could do this while you're pregnant, why couldn't anybody? I mean, a lot of people
don't say that because a lot of us aren't that awesome.
I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but I think sometimes and so often, and I know I do this to myself, we find excuses.
Right.
Oh, I can't do that because of this, and I can't do it because of that. And it's like, you know what? If you want to do it, anybody can do it. And so what are some of your other hobbies and interests? Do you have, or does this pretty much occupy all your time right now? I mean, especially with the baby.
It's occupying a lot of my time, but I love being outdoors in nature, hiking, backpacking.
But you probably don't get out as much anymore.
And that's been hard. I'm taking some time off for the 4th, so that will be really nice. But yeah, this has been my life.
Is this your first business? Your
yes.
first? Yeah, and it is tough when you have your own business because you have to train yourself to take the time off. Otherwise, you will work 24 hours a day. You have to be
disciplined, but you also have to remember self-care.
Yeah.
Like that's a tough balance.
Really easy. Does your husband or anything ever tell you, maybe you need to cut back a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's helped out a lot too.
Sure.
I actually have not had the truck run while I've been off of it yet, which is a goal I'm working towards, and I have awesome employees right now. They are so great, and they're driving the truck, and we're so close to getting there. I just have to be like, I have to do it. It's me. And
yeah. Well, because it's like you're putting your name out there. You're putting your personal stamp of approval on everything that goes out and everything that's represented. So that's a tough thing to kind of let the reins go.
Realizing it's trust, and I trust. And so at the farmer's market, last Saturday, the last hour kind of slows down, and I have 3 others on the truck, and they're like, just go walk around and get some food. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I should do that. And it was hard, and I felt guilty the entire time, which I shouldn't have.
It gets easier.
It gets easier. But that was, I know it sounds so silly, but that was a big first step.
That's a huge first step.
Break and like coming back and realizing that they've got this. They're all capable. They're great. They love it. Almost as much as I do. I don't know if anyone will ever love it as much as I do, but they are phenomenal and they've got it and they want to see it succeed. And so I just need to get my ass off the truck one of these days.
That is tough. Because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then you're like, no, but it has, as a business owner, I think a lot of us struggle with that. When you have your own business, you're like, no, if I walk away, I don't know what's going to happen. It's your baby. Mm-hmm. So that is good that you have such a supportive staff that's like, take care of yourself a little bit. Yeah. Everything's going to be great.
With the baby on the way, I got to figure it out.
You're going to have to, yeah.
Of course.
Good to figure it out now.
Maybe my husband tricked me.
Now that you've been doing this for a year, do you still want to do a brick and mortar store?
Absolutely.
Is that kind of your end goal?
Yeah.
Would you keep the truck still?
Yeah, absolutely. The truck is fun, and we get to do a lot of fun things with that. Like, we get to do movie sets and fun events, and it's awesome.
You actually hire the truck out for like weddings and events too, don't you?
We haven't actually ever done a wedding.
We should have done our wedding. Right?
I know.
That would have been cool. We got married back in May. That would have been really cool to bring you on our wedding.
But we've done a variety of other events. So conferences, movies, TV shows.
So I would imagine people, if they're interested, they could just reach out to you and say, hey, what are your rates? What do you got going on?
Absolutely.
What is the, kind of shift gears a little bit, the most memorable concert or sporting event that you've been to? Just to find out a little bit more about Trina here.
Oh, not in the truck.
Not necessarily. No. Well, okay, in the truck, but just in general, because that's what on the podcast. I always like to find out, who the business owner, a little bit behind the person behind the scene, a little bit. Sure.
That's the most memorable concert I went to. So I was very fortunate enough to have open-minded. They're still open-minded, very open-minded, great parents, and the Grateful Dead came to the Delta Center.
Back in the 90s. Yeah.
Right before Jerry Garcia died.
I remember that show. I wasn't there, but I wanted to go. Yeah, I remember that show very well.
I can't remember how old I was exactly. I was in elementary school, so I was young, and my brother, I have a little brother, and he had to be about 5 or 6. And I just remember being at that concert. It was my very first concert. People spinning, smelling all these new smells. And just like,
you're like, what is that skunk smell?
I like this place.
And people are so happy and dancing. And I think my parents were kind of like, oh my gosh, what have we done bringing our children here? But that was fun.
Sure.
That was really cool. I really got into, I love music. And I don't know if that experience had anything to do with it, but.
Did you go recently? I know there was like the Dead played at USANA, right? I don't know. I don't know. It's like ever since Jerry died, it's kind of like, is it worth going? But I know I have Deadheads probably listening to this right now. They're like, Chris, it's great.
Yeah. I didn't. I haven't been.
Yeah, you're probably pretty busy with the concert
social life again. Yeah.
Social lives are overrated, I think.
I think sometimes they are.
You're just like, there's so often you go do something and you're like, gosh, I could have been doing this and I could have been doing that.
Sometimes the need to create something is way stronger than the need for like a social life.
If you could go back to your first day of high school and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
That's a great question. I was not a fan of high school, so I don't know.
Why weren't you a fan of high school? I mean, I don't.
Well, who
high school
was anybody?
Sucked.
I don't
All of us
know.
hated it, but like, what specifically?
No, I just didn't have I had some great friends, but
But knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time,
don't waste money on college.
there you go.
terrible advice.
No,
I am totally on board with that advice.
I think more people need to be given that advice, right? Like it's this thing at a certain age, you got to go to college and you got to, get this fancy piece of paper for your wall. And then all of a sudden
then you can never pay it off.
$100,000 in debt. And you're just like, that becomes your entire life.
Spend all your money traveling.
That would be a good education, I mean,
I think so.
Well, that kind of leads me into the next question. If money was no object, what would you do all day?
Oh, I would travel. I would just probably be a vagabond and travel the world.
I like that.
where's one place that you would just love to travel to?
I haven't been anywhere in Africa, so I would like to check that continent off the list. I don't know where specifically, but I just love traveling everywhere. And I'd like to spend some more time in Asia as well.
Is there a favorite place that you've been? Like,
Probably I spent about a month in the Philippines. That was a great thing about being a teacher, having time to travel.
because you have summers off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I went to the Philippines and that place is amazing. Like the people are the best.
So you've got to see some country.
So
You got to see some land.
Yeah, it was, and it's a beautiful, beautiful country.
Do you speak any other languages?
Oh, I speak very, very poor Spanish.
Hey,
No,
more Spanish than me. I mean, it seems like I'd be curious to see if you really if you were in the Philippines for a month, did you kind of pick up on some things?
they speak English.
Oh, okay.
A lot.
That's nice.
And Tagalog is their native tongue, but they also speak English. So there wasn't really a language barrier.
That's
thankfully.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could do a Skype call with any living person, who would it be and why?
These questions always get me. That's tough.
With Jerry Garcia. Well, I guess Jerry Garcia is not living. So
Not living.
We could expand it. Living or dead.
And it changes day to day, who I want to talk to.
right now you have one free call to your lifeline,
Oh,
right?
and I'm losing it
Your
because I can't
lifeline.
think of anyone. Oh,
That's fine. It's fine.
There's so many.
I'm sure there's one that came to your mind first.
Lady Gaga.
There,
Hey.
there you go. Okay, I wouldn't expect
I love
that
her
one.
performing, and she's a great performer, and I think seems like a pretty good human. So I think I'd like to pick her brain.
There's a few Salt Lake City related questions we like to ask on the show. If someone was visiting Salt Lake City for the first time, is there something you would tell them to go do or to check out or to visit a building, an area of town?
Specifically in Salt Lake.
Or
just the
outside on people. People have said outside and I haven't yelled at them.
Not yet.
I think one person said one time Moab or something. I was
yeah.
like, oh, it's kind of a random.
It's a little bit
Far.
farther away, but
I love the outdoors, so that's tough.
Is there a hiking trail you would tell them to go check out?
In Salt Lake City, I think just Memory Grove and up City Creek is a great little quick getaway.
Yeah.
I love so much. I think we have so many good food options.
What are some of your favorite local eating spots? Do you have any favorites right now, at least?
I really like Mediterranean. It's great. I love the small plates. I love their new location. And I haven't been getting out to eat much, I'll be honest. Red Rock is always a favorite. They have great stuff.
and the two taco places.
That's right. La Hacienda is my absolute favorite Mexican restaurant, and El Cabrito in my neighborhood is awesome. So good. So good.
Would you change anything about Salt Lake City if you could? If you became mayor for the day?
Liquor laws.
That's probably the number one.
Definitely
answer.
the number one answer. Yeah, for sure.
Like liquor stores are so lame.
Yeah.
And I just saw that the taxes are going up again.
Are they really?
Yes. We pay the highest on wine.
I've actually seen people out of state get pretty upset in liquor stores about the cost of
Weren't you shocked when we went down to California and you were like,
Yeah.
gosh, this is so much cheaper?
Yeah. I was because
bargain shopping.
I think they're trying to like price us out with taxes, here.
I don't know. It could be
Maybe not.
worse. It could be worse, though. I don't know.
It could be a dry
as much
state,
as
right?
much as I hate,
True.
as much as I hate the liquor laws here, I get very defensive of it because it could be worse.
You're right. It could be. I mean,
And really, at the end of the day, I mean, I lived in Pennsylvania.
If it's like a huge problem for you, you might have bigger problems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but let's talk about how people can connect with you online. What's your web? Do you have a website and Twitter? Let's run down the list here of how people can.
the website, buzzedcoffeetruck.com. There's an email, inquiry submission button on there. Facebook messages, I try to respond pretty quickly to those. Twitter,
Not so
Instagram.
much.
Yeah, Twitter is hard for me. I try my best.
Twitter is kind of one of those things where it's silly but yet fun.
Yeah, I feel like I miss some things sometimes. I just feel like things are easy to miss on Twitter.
Twitter's pretty fast paced.
Yeah.
It's tough to keep up with for me. So
The name lends well to it. I feel like Twitter.
And then Instagram is just Buzzed Coffee or
Buzzed Coffee Truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll put all those links at iamsaltlake.com with this episode's show notes. And then are you going to be at the Downtown Farmers Market every Saturday, or that's the plan right now at least?
We will be there every Saturday with the exception of August 12th, I believe, because we'll be doing the Craft Lake City DIY.
Excellent. Yes. Craft Lake City's excellent. So everybody who's listening, you need to go to the Downtown Farmers Market. It's every Saturday, 8 to 2, Pioneer Park, which is like 300 West and 400 South, that block area there. And then
get one of these glasses because
get some glasses, get the coffee beans.
I can't wait to fill it up, and it's going to be so cool to just have a little glass.
Anything else you want to why we have Trina here, or anything else you want to talk about, Chrissy? Or
man, I mean, I could keep talking, but no, I'm excited to come visit you on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks.
One more question: if you were on death row, what would you want your final meal to be?
Lobster roll.
Ooh, yeah. Good call.
I love it.
Lobster roll and chili verde together. I wouldn't mix them together, but those are the two
Why
things
not?
I would
It's your
want.
last meal. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
I would binge to no end, right?
I always tell people, let's catch up down the road, and find out how things are going.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming and doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. Thanks.
You bet. Many thanks again to Trina Perez for coming on this episode and sharing her story. I sure had a lot of fun chatting with her.
Oh, yeah. She had some good stories.
It's somebody that you wouldn't expect doing something amazing here in Salt Lake City, makes a heck of a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah. And she has brilliant ideas behind it, too.
We're going to put all the links again. We're going to put all those links on the website where you can get in touch with her. You can find out more about Buzzed Coffee Truck. You can find out where the Buzzed Coffee Truck is. Like she said, she's at the Downtown Farmers Market every week.
Yeah.
Right there at Pioneer Park. Go visit Buzzed Coffee. Go visit Oleo. They're going to be there. All those links are going to be at iamsaltlake.com/285 for episode 285. And hey, we got iTunes reviews, though. I'm excited to read these. It's been a while since we've gotten some iTunes reviews.
Because we have the best listeners ever.
Oh my gosh, seriously here. So if you want to leave an iTunes review, go to iamsaltlake.com/iTunes. It's going to send you right to the page and open up iTunes where you can leave a review. But we got a review here from Thomas Estrada.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on the show. He's the one who did the little characters of Chrissy and myself.
Our awesome picture drawing.
He wrote, I love this show. I love this show in the fact that Chris and Chrissy sincerely enjoy getting to know their guests. That is really cool.
That is cool. I love that he, sees that because that's the thing. We really do love getting to know all these people.
Another iTunes review here is from Mr. Tibbins. Have you heard these yet, Chrissy?
I don't know.
Okay, this one's good.
Okay.
Never boring, always entertaining. Every episode is better than the last. The amount of talented people in SLC is awe-inspiring, and this podcast always delivers on the goods. The interviews are honest and they are never about the host. There's a genuine interest in the subjects that are interviewed, and that in itself is a breath of fresh air. I hope this podcast keeps going for decades.
Oh, wow.
What a well-written... that's Gabriel over there.
Oh, man. Thanks, Gabriel.
Yeah, no, he's a really... I like him. I think I'll
He's a good dude.
keep him around. This next one, I'm not sure who wrote this, but this is pretty cool. It's written by ERC 312. The title of it is like a SLC Pinterest board without the self-loathing.
I have not heard this one.
They write, I believe Pinterest was invented to make ladies feel bad that we are not creating cupcake war quality treats for our kids' birthdays. Tawanda.
Holy crap. I love you. That is an amazing truth.
Now that this is off my chest, this podcast is awesome because it has lots of ideas of covers, a broad range of places to try, whether it's food, outdoors, culture, drink, or thingamathings, they cover it. The author is very interactive and inclusive of ideas for people of all lifestyles, ages, incomes, and interest. I can only hope he is using this as a foundation to run for office and finally deliver us from some of the incompetent nincompoops that are currently serving as our elected officials. You know who I'm talking about. Thanks for highlighting all things rad about Salt Lake City. That was a hell of a review.
Hey, that's amazing.
And little do they know, I am creating this I'm going to run for mayor of Salt Lake City. No, I think that would be a bad idea.
I wonder what you'd be like as mayor. I would be curious to find out.
I don't know.
It's not really your jam, huh?
No, I don't know,
But you're so open-minded. Thanks for the review.
Again, if you want to leave us an iTunes review, head on over to iamsaltlake.com/iTunes. This episode of the podcast is proudly sponsored by Jeds Barber Shop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest 3rd location is located at 167 East, 900 South. It's right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get a haircut, look good. Maybe
go visit Grandma.
Go visit Grandma. Maybe you got a hot date, a last-minute job interview. Jed's Barbershop is your place to go. They were recently voted Best in State by City Weekly and KSL. Head on over to their website, jedsbarbershop.com, for more information. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Great episode. Many thanks again, Trina over at Buzzed Coffee.
Yeah.
Go check her out. Go check out all the links at iamsaltlake.com/285. And don't forget to join the I Am Salt Lake community on Facebook. Tell us what you're loving here in Salt Lake City. We love to get to know all of you better. And I think this Facebook group is really what's going to do it.
Yes, I really want to hear everyone's voice.
So head on over to there. We're going to put the links up on the show notes for this episode. You can also just go to iamsaltlake.com/group. You all have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city. Support local.
And good night, Grammy.